So we're getting into chickens. Everybody, I'm sure, has heard of chickens. So that's what we're getting into first. And one of the easy ones that most people know of is eggs. So eggs are a big part of chickens. That's one of the main reasons people will get them, if not the only reason. A couple breeds like Leghorn and a couple dual purpose breeds like Rhode Island Red, Australorp, and stuff like that. They'll lay a good amount of eggs, and generally, chickens will lay almost an egg every day, and in the winter, it does tend to slow down. And something you can do to supplement that or to help them lay a little bit more in the winter would be to give them a heat lamp, just to provide them a little bit of extra light at night for a few hours, and that'll keep them a little warmer and give them a little bit more light, and that is what has helped me. You could also get a variety like the Icelandic chicken that just kind of lays in the winter anyway. That's a good variety. Next thing to think about is meat. Cornish cross is definitely the best for meat if you just want to go for that. Not really sustainable for having to have a chicken sit on eggs and keep reproducing. It's a cross between two breeds, so it gets a lot of health problems past the butchering time. So you really just want to kind of order those. But yeah, chickens are a great source of meat. If you get a dual purpose breed, you could have eggs and meat, but generally meat is a go-to for most people. And it's pretty simple to get the meat from chickens. You just gotta pluck the chicken and make sure it's the right age, and make sure you do it in a sanitary way. Another thing we can talk about is showing. Showing is a thing that people like to do in the chicken community. That's typically done where you'll bring in a chicken to a place and they'll appraise it, see how the colors are, the size of various parts of it. If you're into that, that's a good reason to get into it. Another thing I'm going to write here is all-purpose bug eater. So what do I mean by that? All-purpose bug eater basically is saying that a chicken will pick through the grass. It'll eat grass. It'll just eat whatever bugs are there that it can find, and it'll help clear out a lot of the insects. We had a ton of crickets at our property when we first moved in, and they would sleep in the winter in the leaves. And when we got our chickens, they made short work of those crickets, so we don't have as many crickets anymore. So that's an example of that. They'll tend to just go for general sorts of bugs they can find. Another thing is sound. Could be a good or a bad thing. If you have a rooster, the rooster is probably going to crow pretty loud. And depending on where you live, maybe in the neighborhood you live in, you're not allowed to have a rooster. So that's something to keep in mind. The sound is very nice, though. It's very romantic, very country-like. So it comes with both of those pros and cons. Another thing is chickens are a highly diverse sort of poultry. You can get bantams, which are smaller if you need to save room on space, or you could get a giant chicken, Jersey Giant. They have tons of uses: meat, showing, eggs. Yeah, they're pretty diverse, so keep that in mind. There's a lot of flexibility. You could probably find a breed that'll work good for you in some capacity. And this isn't as much of a thing anymore, but chickens tend to do better in a warmer, drier climate. They originate from the green jungle fowl, which is in Indonesia, which is a little bit warmer. So if you have an area that's kind of wet but it's warm, it'll probably be okay. But generally, chickens don't tend to do well in the cold and wet. Don't tend to do well. There's a lot of newer breeds that comes back to the diversity that do pretty good, like the Icelandic does well in the cold. Australorpington. There's definitely plenty of breeds, but generally they're going to have more of a warm, dry disposition and tendency to go towards that. Another thing for chickens is fertilizer. So they'll produce a lot of good poop for you. It's very, very good for all your plants and just fertilizing the area in general. I wouldn't say it's like the perfect solution to, I guess, give your land the nutrients it needs. It's like a good short-term solution. So that's good to keep in mind. If you want like a bigger long-term solution, you could employ like bigger livestock for that. And yeah, that basically makes up the reason for chickens. A lot of people will tend to focus on one aspect or the other, but chickens do have a lot of popularity because of how flexible they are. They have a lot of diversity. They'll eat your table scraps. They'll clean up your yard from insects. They'll eat some of your grass. Sometimes people say that I'll go let my chicken out to mow my yard. So that's a thing. But yeah, there is a lot of really nice things that come with the flexibility and diversity of chickens just because there are so many different kinds. But yeah, that's basically the take on chickens. I generally tend to like chickens, and I'm probably a little bit biased in that way, but yeah, these are the main points for chickens.